We're gonna have to stand this up though, because we gotta remove the back.
White, isn't it? And you got clock.
So this is your regular route here?
Regular route. We run it in the morning.
Yeah, so when the clock is back, what do you like about that?
I'm able to tell what time it is, so I know when my run's done.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The date and time. This morning plugged it in. February 9th. Oh. 20. So it'll adjust itself in.
I didn't remember that.
No, it's before our time.
Larry, your voice is very, very wide on here.
Yeah, one of my colleagues said I should get into a sound studio now. He was
Better than some of our festivals today. Except for 255.
Yeah, right.
Where's the Ferry approaching?
Okay. I need to stop you. Do you have time to listen to the story of this clock? Well, the lights are on again, you guys. Thank you.
It used to go until August 1950.
It's supposed to set automatically even on the red saving and stuff.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, what a crowd. This is great. Wait till you see the clock. It's fabulous. It got put up yesterday. My name is Sue Contreras. I'm part of the committee that made this happen. And I see a lot of faces in the audience that helped make it happen. We had donations from $5 up to $500, and it all came together to make it happen. So I want you all to know that everyone who contributed in any way at all those names are going on a scroll that will be put inside the clock for posterity. In the programs that you have, you will read a story about Captain John Anderson, who was a ferry boat captain on Lake Washington, and he's the one that donated this clock. Okay, before we go further, I would like to introduce you to public officials that are in the crowd. We have Joan Bryan. I'm trying to think of how many adjectives I can use to introduce our mayor, Joan McBride.
Good looking.
Good looking. That'll do it. We have Jane Haig, who is King County Council, that helped a lot with the clock. We have Kirkland City Council people, Doreen Marchione, Deputy Mayor, and we have Penny Sweet, And we have Amy Wallen. Over here. Anyone else?
Mr. Springer.
And we have Larry Springer, who's our representative in Olympia for the 45th district. Okay, now I need to introduce you to people who really helped a lot in this 2-year process. We started with Nat Williams. Where are you, Nat?
Over here.
Raise your hand really high. This is Nat Williams. He's from Spokane. He does street clocks in Spokane. We had Nat come over and look at our clock and say, can we do anything? And because of him and his saying yes, there we went. So thank you for being here, Nat. Okay, after Matt came, we formed our working committee. Loida Hawkinson, taking my picture over here. Big hand, right way up high. Loida is current president of the Kirkland Historical Society. Bob Burke,
Where's Bob?
who is past president of the Kirkland Heritage Society. Bob, raise your hand. Who sees him? Oh my gosh, he's way back there by the police car. He's in trouble again. We have Matt McCauley. Where are you, Matt? Over here. Matt is a famous Kirkland author. He's written a book about Kirkland called A Look to the Past, the Kirkland History. Mark Paget. Where's Mark? Over here behind the tree. He's with the City of Kirkland Public Works Department, and wouldn't have happened without Mark getting the electricity going in here, getting the pole painted, etc. Vince Isaacson. Vince, where are you?
Woohoo!
Over here. Vince owns Lake Street Diamond Company across the street, and he looks at this clock and has for years, and he'll be very happy to have it running again. And we have Frank Rosine, who I see him right there by the videographer. Because of Frank, we know what color this clock was supposed to be. Frank had an old dustpan and an old wooden falling apart wheelbarrow that were painted in that green. And that's how we knew what color to make it.
Kurt Triplett, city manager.
Okay. Kurt Triplett, our city manager, is in the crowd. Oh, he's over by this tree. Good luck, all of you that are under those trees. We didn't bring a BB gun. I keep seeing these little things come down out of the sky, and I know it's not raining. Okay, quickly, I need to just acknowledge other people that really were instrumental in making this happen. Hazel Russell did a ton of bookkeeping over the clock project. Greg Shugarts of Fast Signs. We had signs here monitoring our progress of raising the funds, and they donated all those signs. Jim Risher, who is Super Graphics, and I didn't see Jim. They did the restoration of the clock. Rebecca Willow and Mary Harris of Park Place Books. Kenny Sweet and Larry Springer at Great Choice. Jeff Cole, Barbara Loomis, Becky Valentine, Heather Jansen, Janae Straub, Todd Woosley, Judy Tushita, Vic Newhart, and Michael Connor, our videographer, who was here for 4 hours yesterday, taking pictures of them loading the clock up and all that. So, and that sounded like an Oscar speech. You know how boring it is when they thank 20,000 people? Sorry to do that to you, but they always forget to thank their husband or wife. So I need to thank my husband, Santos, and he's been behind me for 2 years on this, but this morning it was something else. Yesterday when we were here, I'm looking around saying, these sidewalks are pathetic. We need a pressure washer. So I called Bob Sternoff, and I said, I know you have a pressure washer, and you don't have to say yes, but tell me who else has one. We need the pressure washers. Bob Sternoff says, I'll be there at 7 in the morning. I said, I'll meet you. I go home, my husband says, you're not going down there at 7 in the morning. I'll go. And I go, good, I'll sleep in. So Santos and Matt McCauley and Doug Davis and Bob Sternoff were here for an hour and 45 minutes, making that all pretty for you. Thank you.
Do you think I could just pop in here? There's one person you forgot to thank. Sue Contreras has done a lot to prepare this, but she forgot to thank one very important person. That's the chair of this committee. Let's give it up for Sue Contreras.
was not in my comments. Nowhere did it say that in here. Okay, before the clock is unveiled, I want to read a short piece that Louisa Hawkinson wrote, which I really like. She said the Anderson Ferry clock was built in Kirkland by Fred Zabel, who owned the East Side Sign Company. The paint was made by the Rosines on Lake Streets. And, and then I was going to tell you the story about the grandson of those people. That's Frank, who's with us now, and that's why we got the right color paint on the clock. Okay, the clock has always been electric and was installed in 1935 on an existing light pole. That's how all the light poles in Kirkland used to look. In 1945, the clock stopped and was removed and headed to the scrap heap. Captain Harry Tompkins paid to have the clock repaired, as Captain Anderson had passed away by then. This clock has the original casing except for the bottom panel, which was so badly rusted out that they had to redo it. Anyway, the dents you see are also original, as we wanted the clock restored, not remade. The clock face and the hands are original. And thanks to tax photos, the Kirkland Heritage Society has pictures of the original clock. And this new clock is exactly like it was back then. That is not in the script, Joe. So the clock went up yesterday, and the lady stopped by with all the commotion going on, and she said, I'm an interior designer, and you need to know that that plaque at the bottom of the clock is crooked. I said, we know. This is an original clock, and that's exactly where that plaque was when it was made. So you will see our original crooked little thing down there. Okay, when this clock went into Super Graphics in Seattle, it was the first time that the clock had left Kirkland, and we're happy to have it home again, and I think it's a real nice Valentine's present. Jane, I'd like to have you come up and say a few words. Oh, yeah.
She can't give it up. Okay, hi. This is such a special day, and I think we need to give it up for the chair of this wonderful committee, the Kirkland Heritage Society, the Parks Board, and the City Council. This is just really awesome. And I just wanted to also say, I think today we are coming full circle, not just the 12 spots on the dial, but also historically. In 1935, Captain John Anderson, Ferry Captain John Anderson, provided this wonderful clock. And it has kept people on time and in space, even if they realize that it wasn't 1:33 in the day. To the point here, we're now unveiling a wonderful renovation of this clock. And we can also keep in mind that King County was involved, doing good things. And we still have a ferry district in place in King County, so that maybe people will still be coming to a ferry that connects Kirkland with the University of Washington in Seattle.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. It's a project in motion. So I wanted to read a proclamation from King County on behalf of this wonderful event that begins, whereas from 1905 to 1950, the King County ferry slip at the foot of Kirkland Avenue served as a vital connection to Seattle via Madison Park. And whereas Captain John Anderson, often described as a larger-than-life figure, operated and built most of the steamboats that plied the lake and also ran the Lake Washington ferry system for King County, and whereas Captain Anderson retained Kirkland businesses to build a clock which he donated to the people of Kirkland in 1935 and placed it near the ferry slip. And whereas over the years, many of the clock's original features were obliterated and the clock itself was stuck at 1:33, and whereas Kirkland Park Board member and Kirkland's hero, Sue Contreras, formed a committee to restore the clock to its 1935 glory, enlisting the help of Kirkland Public Works crew, Kirkland Heritage Society, and Jim Risher. And whereas Sue and her committee were successful in raising the needed $12,000 from over 200 small donors, as well as a $1,500 sponsorship from King County. Therefore, I, Jane Hay, on behalf of the Metropolitan King County Council, recognize and congratulate the Committee to Restore the Historic Anderson Ferry Clock for restoring and preserving a beloved and vital piece of Kirkland's history. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jan. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, how pretty. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. One more set of introductions. Back in 1935, the clock was presented to the city of Kirkland by Captain Harry Tompkins. And today we have Captain Tompkins' granddaughter with us to do the same thing 78 years later. Also, Captain Anderson did not have any children, but his brother did, and we have at least 12 Andersons in the crowd. And so they are all under here, and they're going to unveil the clock right now. Okay, Vicki, go over there.
Okay.
We hope it works. Mark Padgett has brought a big, tall ladder in case this doesn't work. Yes, it does. We thought about that. This clock had stopped at 1:33, and I thought, oh, but is that clock working? Didn't we start this at 1 o'clock?
That is so cool.
I have to tell you, that clock, the mechanism inside, thank you, King County, is state of the art, and it should last for at least 100 years. So after 100 years, if you notice that it's not working anymore, call me. Okay, I think our mayor will accept the clock right now. I've got to say one other thing. We have a little bit of a not a problem, but a little bit of a worry. There's a wonderful plaque down there saying that this was restored and it was rededicated today. Do you suppose anyone's going to be walking along here and go, oh, it's only 12:30. We've got time. Let's catch the 1 o'clock ferry. Or better yet, how do we drive on? It's a car ferry, I'm sure. But Bob Burke told me it doesn't say where it's going, so we hope nobody will get on it.
That's true, Sue, but yesterday when we were here and they were installing, there were some folks that had come over from Seattle and they saw this. They go, oh my gosh, yeah, look at where's that ferry going? It goes nowhere, at least for now. Thank you very much for coming here, and on behalf of the Kirkland City Council, of whom many members are here today, I accept this clock and welcome it home in its beautiful and original state. Thank you all who helped. The committee is amazing. Our Heritage Society is great. I see so many citizens here today that have helped make Kirkland the beautiful place it is. And I am so grateful that we honor our history. And this is a beautiful illustration of how much history we do have and how much we honor it. Thank you, Tompkins family. Thank you, Anderson family. And with that, I don't know if we have to do anything to accept it, but council, we accept. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming. We have a few clock cookies left if you didn't get one.
Oh, with the clock. I'm connected with the ferry way back when they had it. And it was 25 cents to go on the ferry, and the clock was there, and you could tell, and you had a race down the hill to meet, the kids had a run. But we would picnic. I'd take my two kids across on the ferry for 25 cents. On the other side was Madison Park, and we'd have a little picnic and come back again. And we had to be back by 3:30 or whatever it was because Daddy was going to come and pick us up. So it was just kind of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, and what's your name?
My name is Corinne Heeb, H-I-E-B.
H-I-E-B, and Corinne, how do you spell that?
C-O-R-R-I-N-E.
When I was a little boy in the 4th grade, my friend and I used to come down and swim at the Marina Park and fish sometimes. And our parents would tell us when to come home, so we always used to come up and look at the clock and see what time it is, so we would get home on time. And also I used to ride the ferry as a little boy, and I remember my parents and my aunt, we'd always check the clock, see what, because we'd walk around Kirkland, find out when the ferry was coming.
And so what's your name again?
My name is Wayne.
Wayne?
Jaton.
How do you spell that?
Jaton.
And what neighborhood did you grow up in?
I lived up in Houghton.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Well, my family owned this building on this corner, and so for many years the power for the clock was provided by the building, and there was just some group of wires running from the clock to the building. And we have all been involved in probably 2 or 3 remodels of the clock before, but this is the most authentic and looks the greatest.
Well, I thought it was a great event because it just shows the community spirit that Kirkland has, and draw on a Sunday morning how many 125 or so people. It was really fun, and everybody seemed to enjoy it, and we're getting lots of stories about people who have experienced the clock in one way or another, and it was great fun to see the clock finally go back up.
Awesome. So, from a historian point of view, what's one of the notable things that you've, at least through this latest refurbishing process, kind of maybe was uncovered or found out?
Was it what?
Was there anything new found out during the last couple of years with the clock here?
I don't know if there was, because we got in touch with family and with people who were involved in it in 1935. Actually, Pam Gates Owens, who was the granddaughter of Mayor Gates, who accepted the clock in 1935, was hoping to be here, but she's in Hawaii. So, and we learned a lot more history, got introduced to the Anderson family, who hadn't even thought about it, that much, So, and we've heard lots of stories. So that's good.
Awesome. And is the Anderson family, are they still local here? Or?
Yeah, they live in Kirkland. A couple of the boys go to Juanita High School.
Awesome.
And there was a family over from Sequim, part of the family. So, we've been introduced to new members of the history of Kirkland.
All right. And then I had a little ancillary question here. I see all these History Month posters around here. What is that all about?
Well, this is History Month in Kirkland, and there's banners, like right up here, where you've got one that's got Captain John Anderson and his wife, 1911, and Louita, who was standing here, was responsible for all of the little signs that are in the stores. This is the 3rd year we've put on History Month, and it extends all the way from the south part of town on Lake Washington Boulevard all the way out to 100th to 132nd, and there's one in Totem Lake. So we're hoping to keep expanding that and get more and more signs out. We've got 12 banners and over 60 of the signs now.
So how's that? How do you think that benefits your everyday person here in Kirkland that perhaps doesn't know much about the history?
Well, main purpose is to try to get people interested in the history of the community and understand that we do have a rich history. It's there's a lot of stuff that's happened here that we'd like to preserve and to keep people aware of.
We knew that the clock was in trouble for a very long time, and my husband Dale and I would come down here every couple of years. And we take pictures of all sides of the clock because we knew it was in trouble and that eventually it might disappear and we wanted it restored. And then another man wanted it restored. His name was Mark Amick. He was with Kirkland Heritage Society, and he wanted it restored because it was stuck. Then one day I got a phone call from Mark, and he says, the clock's gone. He said, what happened to the clock? I said, call the city. And at that time found out that Sue Contreras had, she's with the Parks Department, had decided something had to be done with this clock. And they had it removed and taken to the city. So Mark Amick and I made an appointment with Mark Padgett, and we went down and looked at the clock. Then there was a committee formed. Mark Amick moved away, so now I've got to email him pictures of the clock because he'll be very happy. But he lives in South Carolina now. But at that time, I made sure I was on that committee. We know Frank Rosine, his family owned the paint manufacturing company on South Lake Street. So it's his grandfather and father that actually made the paint that was used for all the paint poles or all the light poles in Kirkland. And so he had an exact sample because they made huge quantities of paint. And his mother would paint literally everything with this, whatever color it was, and green was her favorite. So she painted a lot of things green. We have the exact color green on that paint, on the clock. It's powder coated now, not painted. And when they removed it, took it apart to be sandblasted and so forth, we found the original paint underneath that had been exposed to the sun or any elements or anything, and sure enough it was that color that Frank said it had to have been. So we have had lots, it was told that it couldn't be restored, it was too rusty, and Frank Rosine knew, oh no, he has antique automobiles, there's nothing that can't be fixed. And so the only new part is the very bottom, and because it had rusted away from water standing in it over the years. This one has drip holes, so if it has humidity and dripping in there, it'll be fine. What else?
And so the community effort.
The community effort. Well, we could have gone two ways with the community effort. We could have gone to Microsoft, Google, and we could have asked for the money and gotten it. They're very supportive of the communities. This didn't have a good feel. I really wanted the citizens to have an involvement. We cannot restore a building. We can't ask our citizens to restore a building. But a clock is doable. So for our citizens, it was like from anywhere from $5 to $50 to $100 and so forth. Bigger outfits gave a little more money than that. And it is Sue Contreras that was tireless. If it hadn't been for her, this clock would have been restored, but it wouldn't have been done in 2012-13. It would have been done another year out because it's a lot of effort to raise money, $10 and $20 at a time. So many people, about 200, 250 people have had their hand in their money going into the restoration.